It's incredibly frustrating to feel like you and your husband are always on opposite sides, unable to see eye to eye or make decisions together as a team. You might look at other couples who always seem to be on the same page and wonder, how do they do it? Maybe you've even wondered, after years together, whether you and your husband have such different values, perspectives, and desires that you'll never truly feel like a unit. That can be a deeply discouraging place to be. But here's what I want you to know: disagreeing with your husband does not have to mean that you're incompatible. It doesn't have to mean that you married the wrong man. It means that you're two different people with two different inner worlds, and maybe no one ever taught you how to bridge them. Until now, you're going to learn how to create a new culture between you and your husband, one that includes loving listening, an open heart, and honoring your own desires all at the same time. These are 5 steps to help you feel like a team again when you and your husband can't agree. Hello, and I'm Laura Amador, and this is Softening into Love. Let's start with why this matters. We're often told that the secret to a happy marriage is compromise. And while that sounds lovely in theory, what about the things that you feel very strongly about? What about when compromise feels like neither of you is really getting what you actually want? What if instead of compromising, you could hold his perspective while still honoring your own? What if neither of you had to feel bulldozed, unheard, or pressured? What if you could actually come out of a disagreement feeling like you're on the same team? That's exactly what these 5 steps will help you to do. Tip number 1 is listening for his heart message and saying, I hear you. When your husband shares his perspective, especially one that feels very different from yours, your first instinct might be to immediately jump in with your own point of view. That's completely natural, but it can shut down the conversation before it even begins. So instead, try listening for his heart message. What is he really trying to say underneath the words? What does he care about? What does he want to protect? Here's an example from my own marriage. Our daughter was invited to her first play date not so long ago, and my instinct was to say yes. I grew up going to play dates and I loved them. I truly believe that they helped me build beautiful and lasting friendships. My husband wanted to say no, and at first that felt a little bit like a clash. But when I really listened for his heart message, I realized that he wasn't saying no because he was against our daughter having fun or making friends. He was saying no because he wanted to protect her. He wanted to keep her safe. And when I saw that, everything shifted because we both want the same thing. We both want the best for our daughter. Our ways of getting there look different, but our hearts were pointed in the same direction. Once I could see that, I was able to say, I hear you, from a really genuine, warm, and open place, not just as words, but as a real acknowledgement of what mattered to him. His reality and your reality can both exist at the same time. One doesn't have to cancel out the other. Tip number 2 is to give yourself permission to take some time and fill up your cup. Before you try to work through a disagreement, I'd like you to check in with yourself. Are you depleted? Are you frustrated, anxious, or resentful? Are you running on empty? Because here's the truth: the wisest version of you cannot show up when your cup is empty. My inner wisdom, my truest and most grounded self, only comes forward when I'm feeling calm, rested, and connected to myself. That's the version of me that I want to bring forward to a difficult conversation, not the version that's exhausted or reactive. You don't have to respond to everything right in the moment. You can give yourself permission to take some time to do something that fills you up and then come back to that conversation when you're feeling more like yourself. Self care is not selfish, it's actually one of the most loving things you can do for your marriage. Tip number 3 is to ask yourself what it is that you really, really want. Once you're in a calmer and more grounded place, ask yourself a simple but powerful question: what do I really want? Not what do I think I should want, not what seems fair, but what do I genuinely desire deep down? In my playdate example, I had to ask myself this question really honestly. And when I did, I realized that it wasn't so much about the playdate itself. What I truly wanted was for our daughter to have fun, to have a social life, and to foster beautiful friendships, and to feel connected to other kids outside of school. That clarity changed everything. Because once I knew what I actually wanted, I could express it in a way that opened the door instead of closing it. Tip number four is to express your pure desire and borrow his brain. Now that you know what you really want, you can share it, not as a demand or a debate point, but as a pure and honest expression of your heart. And then invite him in. This is called borrowing his brain. So, in my situation, I was able to say to my husband, I hear you. I understand your concerns. I would love for our daughter to be able to see her friends outside of school and have fun. I'd love to borrow your brain. And that's it. There was no arguing, no defending, no trying to convince him, no trying to get him to see things my way. Just sharing what I wanted and genuinely inviting in his ideas and his thoughts. Tip number five is to receive his ideas with an open heart. When you borrow his brain, you'll want to be ready to truly receive what he comes up with. So go in with an open mind and an open heart. When I did this, my husband said that he was completely happy with play days where adults were still present. He just wasn't comfortable with our daughter being dropped off at a stranger's house. And just like that, we were on the same page, we were both happy, and we both got what we wanted. From that one conversation, we actually came up with something that we both loved. We decided on a monthly kids club where we get together at a park or at the library where the children can play and connect and the adults get to chit chat too. A solution that never would have happened if we'd stayed stuck in disagreement. Now you can do this too. So if you and your husband seem to constantly disagree, I want you to hear this. You are not doomed. That doesn't mean that you're incompatible. You may simply be missing a roadmap for how to truly hear each other and find your way onto the same team. And while you can't control what he does or says in return, you can create a new culture between you by being intentional with how you show up and navigate disagreements. These five steps are that roadmap. So here's a simple recap to come back to whenever you need it. Step one is to listen for his heart message. This is what is he really trying to say? And to acknowledge it by saying, I hear you. Step two is to fill your cup first, to give yourself permission to take some time for self care if you need it, so that your wisest self can show up and respond. Step three is to ask yourself what it is that you really want. Get clear on your true, honest desire. Step four is to express your pure desire and borrow his brain. Share what it is that you want and be open and invite his ideas. Step five is to receive his ideas with an open heart. Be willing to hear what he comes up with. If this resonated with you, you can download my free guide called 3 Steps to Reignite Connection in Your Marriage and start applying these ideas today. And you can find that in the description. And if you're ready for personal step-by-step guidance and support, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out and let's talk about how I can walk alongside you in your marriage journey. The link to get in touch is in the description as well. You deserve a marriage that feels like a partnership, and it's more possible than you might think. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, keep softening into love.